Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's do another video here in my video training series, your first day as a real estate agent. And I want to talk about in this video, I want to talk about how can you set yourself apart from the competition. I think this is a very important subject to talk about, and I'm very excited. I've been working on this for a couple weeks, and I came up with this idea, and I think it's going to really help you, and I think it's going to help your business, and I think it's going to help you get things off the ground. So let me know what you think after the video. First question is, how many real estate agents are there in the US, in Canada, and worldwide? There's a ton of them, right? I mean, in the US, there's probably 1 million. In Canada, quite a few. And all around the world. Last year, my daughter, she was in 5th grade. She had about 25, 26 kids. 4 of the parents were real estate agents, including me. So it's not really ideal to try to set yourself apart from the competition in an elementary school. That was pretty funny. But how do you set yourself apart from the competition? How do you compete in a world with so many real estate agents? The other component here is the failure rate is so high for real estate agents. 75% of new real estate agents, they don't make it past their first year. I mean, think about it. You have 4 new agents, they get their license. At the end of that first year, only one of them is going to make it. This is a question I've been thinking about. It's really important to me. I've been pondering this. Why do so many real estate agents fail? I think one of the reasons is poor training, poor mentoring. People just don't get the right training they need in their first year. And a lot of them are just kind of thrown out there. And, if they make it, great. If they don't, who cares? It doesn't really matter. But, I don't want that to happen to you. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing with my book, with my podcast, with some of my YouTube videos, and now with this training course that I'm developing for first-year realtors. What do they do their first day? Another reason is, for those of you who are new, it's just so overwhelming. What do you do in the beginning? You just don't know what to do. And if you get bad advice, you get bad training and bad mentoring, or you work for a company and they're asking you to market yourself in a way that just doesn't feel right for you and it's a bad fit. I've seen so many agents get out of the business because they work for a company where it just doesn't fit them. And then they get disheartened and then boom, they're out of the business. Now, another thing that I've been thinking about and looking at is, why do the top agents succeed? How do they make it? And this has really been, like I said, a focus for me. And when I've been doing these podcast interviews with a lot of people who are successful, what success pattern were they able to develop so quickly and help their business get off the ground? I've been watching a lot of other top agents in my market. What do these agents do differently? And you know what? I have the answer. And I really do. And I think this is something that's going to help you. But before I give you the answer, let's kind of set the stage so you see what I'm talking about. First off, there are many paths to success. And this is so true in the real estate industry. There is no one way, there is no right way to be successful. It's a huge industry. I mean, there's a ton of real estate agents like we talked about. So there's so many different styles. There's so many different ways you can be successful. Think about lasagna. Have you made lasagna before? Everybody who makes lasagna, you can make it a different way. I make a really good lasagna. I can make a vegetarian. I can make a regular with like ground meat and Italian sausage, and I have my own way, my own blend of cheeses, and I add in an egg and I whip it up, and all these little things, right? And every time you have lasagna, it's made a little bit differently. But most of them, they're all great, right? They all taste good. They're all pretty yummy. And I think this is a good comparison for being a successful real estate agent. There is no one formula. There is no one recipe. And I want you to take this to heart because you as a new realtor, people make money off of you, selling you leads programs, selling you training courses and video programs and selling you, whatever. The big thing is a lot of people are trying to sell you leads programs. Be very wary of what is being pitched to you. And if somebody says this is the only way to be successful, be careful. The red light should be going on when you hear that. Now, what are the success traits for top agents? And this really applies to anybody who is successful in today's business. You got to have desire. You got to be motivated. You got to want to succeed. Have a positive attitude. Be confident. Work hard and work your plan. Work your system. How many times have you heard that? Work the plan. In real estate, you need to be able to build relationships. Now, these traits, these things right here, this can apply to really any business. And if you look at successful people, you will see these characteristics and traits. Now, I could say this is the answer, right? This is the answer for you to be successful. But this is really the foundation for anybody to be successful. I'm going to take this a step further and show you how top agents use a certain strategy to be successful. I want to review why people buy. We've talked about this before many times. Why will a consumer choose you to be their real estate agent? They like you, they trust you, and you have the expertise. But I think the other component here is how do you stand out from the competition where the consumer can be able to match up with you based on their needs? Aha. Expertise. This is the foundation of your career as a real estate agent. And when I talk to you, I'm assuming that all of you are going to have this foundation. You're going to have a very strong knowledge of contracts. You're going to know the buyer agency. You're going to know the listing agreement. You're going to know the contract to buy and sell. And this should be really easy for you that as a new real estate agent because you've just come out of real estate school. So you're going to know your contracts. One thing I've always said that's very helpful, go to a contract CE class, continuing education class, early on in your career because that way you can learn the day-to-day application of how contracts are really used when working with buyers and sellers. But talking about your expertise, the foundation, you need to know all the contracts, all the paperwork. You need to know your local real estate market. You need to know it like the back of your hand. This is your product knowledge. You need to know the neighborhoods, especially in the areas where you're specializing in. You need to know how to negotiate. You're negotiating for your commission. You're negotiating for your business. You're negotiating on behalf of your buyer. You're negotiating for your seller. You're negotiating through inspections. You're negotiating through appraisals. You're negotiating through everything. You need to be a strong negotiator. You can go to CE classes that will help you with your negotiation skills. You could take online courses to help you with your negotiation skills. There's tons of books available in the library that are about negotiating. So make sure you have really good negotiating skills. You need to understand the sales process. You need to understand what it's going to take you when you meet a buyer, you meet a seller the first time, and you're going to take them all the way to the closing. You need to be able to set expectations. So really know all the steps involved and educate your customer, set expectations on where you're going in the future. Be a professional. Very simple. Doctors, lawyers, CPAs, they're all professionals. We are professionals too as real estate agents. A lot of us are helping our customers and we're doing very large transactions. $500,000, $1 million, $10 million. If you're in the luxury market, you're averaging, $3, $4 million per transaction. Be a professional. Take pride in what you do. And lastly, clients first. Your motivation is to help your customer get what they want and need, and then you will get what you want and need in return. This is the foundation of your career, and I took a little bit of time to go through this because I'm assuming all of you are going to have this level of expertise. Okay, on this slide here, I want to talk about what I see the 4 agent model profiles. These are what I see as the profiles of most of us as real estate agents when we're out there trying to connect with new customers and do our business. Number 1, you got the hustle agent. You got the sphere agent, the internet agent, and you've got the farming agent. And I'm going to go into detail on all 4 of these, but I think this encompasses the spectrum of real estate agents in terms of the models where we kind of set ourselves when we are marketing and when we are working with our customers. The hustle real estate agent. This is the traditional real estate agent. This is very prevalent. You'll see a lot of agents who fit this profile. They're the agents who are working harder. They have a positive attitude. They're out there knocking on doors. They're on the telephone. They're calling the FSBOs. They're calling the expireds. They're holding open houses. They're working floor. This is the traditional selling style for most real estate agents. And this is the way real estate agents worked predominantly before the internet. This is really how they all work. You're working harder, positive attitude, and you were out there making the calls, talking to the people, building your business. It's kind of a volume kind of model. There are a lot of coaches and trainers that are available today who teach and preach this model. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just giving you a profile of who I see as the hustle real estate agent. The second model is the sphere real estate agent. Work in your sphere, right? Working everyone you know. You build a database. You're networking. You're working by referral. You're contacting people on a regular basis. You have a system in place where you're contacting your sphere 20, 30, 40 times a year. And you're doing it in all different kinds of communication methods, direct mail, phone calls, email, dropping goodies by the door. And this is a very good way for a lot of agents to build their business is by working their sphere. And this is a very popular style today. And again, a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers, a lot of nationally and internationally known trainers that focus on this model. And even the National Association of Realtors, when they do their reports, and I've talked about this before, 80% of most real estate agents' business is going to come from repeat customers or referrals. So basically working your sphere. And the other model here and this is the internet real estate agent. And this came into existence in the late 1990s. The internet agent is doing content marketing, they're blogging, they have a website, they might have IDX. They're doing their content marketing through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, through their blog, through their website, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and then there are many other websites today for social media, and there'll be many more in the future. This is a popular way for a lot of real estate agents to be able to market themselves through the internet. And there are a lot of social media experts out there who are willing to teach you workshops, training, coaching. Again, a popular model for a lot of real estate agents. Now, the last one here is the farming real estate agent. And this, again, is a traditional model that's been around for a long time, and you're marketing to a specific geography, a neighborhood focus, community marketing through your direct mail, through your internet, however you want to do it, but you're targeting a specific neighborhood, a specific geography, maybe a town. If the town is not that big, you're just marketing specifically to your hometown, and you're developing a presence locally. You are that go-to real estate agent for that specific geography. This is a long-term investment of time and money when you're going to farm a specific geography or territory. And there are a lot of systems, a lot of coaches and trainers who will teach you how to do this, and even people within your company. We're all a little bit of the four models. A lot of us, we are the hustle agent. We're the sphere agent. We're the internet agent. And we're also the farming agent. When you're new, what do you do? My feeling is it's hard to be all four from day one. It's really hard to be able to develop a farm right from the beginning. It's really hard to do the internet and the content marketing, because that also takes a little bit of time to build up your social media equity online through your blogging, through your videos, through whatever content you're posting. That takes time. Working your sphere, that's something you can work on immediately. And a hustle agent, boom, you can do that right out of the door. Now, what do the very successful agents do? Now, here's the payoff here for the video. The very successful agents, they are what I called the competitive advantage real estate agent. Top agents, and you can read it here, I'll read it, they've developed a competitive advantage based on their previous work and life experiences. They then take those experiences and they apply it to their real estate career. Now, this is similar to having a niche, but it's not really, I think it's more than a niche. A little bit more here on the definition. The competitive advantage agent, they are top agents. They've identified early on in their career how they can set themselves apart from the competition. And that's what we want, right? That's what I want for you. I want you to be able to set yourself apart from the sea of other real estate agents. These competitive advantage agents, they've developed a brand and a marketing strategy to not only set themselves apart from the competition, but they then present themselves in a manner where they are better than the competition in the eyes of the consumer, based on the needs of the consumer. Now, I hope you can see that, because the beautiful thing about real estate is there are a lot of real estate agents, but there's also a lot of consumers. Each consumer, each customer is going to have a specific need criteria that's going to be different than other people. So you have these consumers, and you have some consumers that have a relocation need. You have some consumers who have an investment property need. You have some consumers who are first-time buyers. You see that, right? Consumers have their own needs that are going to be different from other consumers. Let's talk about some competitive advantage examples. Now, this is the thing that's what I'm really excited about. All of these examples are people that I've interviewed on my podcast. You can go back and you can re-listen to the podcast interview with each one of these real estate agents. And all of these agents are highly successful. They're doing a tremendous amount of business, yet they started doing it from the very beginning. They really learned how to set themselves apart from the competition. Now, Joan Caton Cromwell, Joan's very exciting for me because I knew Joan when we were in elementary school together back in Virginia, and I keep in touch. And that was an amazing interview that she and I did together. But I remember what she said because her path into real estate was very similar to mine. She got into it about the same age I did, right after 9/11. And she was doing high-tech sales. She was selling to hospitals. If you listen to the interview, she said, I didn't feel comfortable saying that I was the expert. I didn't feel like I could say I was the expert in Washington, D.C. because I wasn't. I was brand new. How could I say I was the expert? So what she did, she went and contacted the local hospitals in her area because she knew how hospitals worked, because she sold to hospitals in her previous job. She contacted the appropriate person within the hospital who was responsible for coordinating new doctors who were looking at interviewing and becoming a part of that hospital. Joan offered her services and said, I'd be happy to take around the new doctors to show them the area, give them a feel for real estate, and then if they do get hired, I'll be happy to be their realtor. And that's how she built her business. That was what was her competitive advantage? Her competitive advantage was she knew how hospitals worked. She was familiar with working with hospitals. She knew her area. By being able to contact the right person in the hospital, she started getting doctors who were moving to the area, and she was helping them buy their new home. Amazing, right? True competitive advantage. Jeff Dowler. I just interviewed Jeff a couple weeks ago. Jeff's story is really interesting because when he became a real estate agent, he started out in the Boston area, and he was working at a brokerage where floor was amazing, a lot of people coming through, and in 2 years, he was really kicking it, and he was doing really, really well. Then he decided to make a life change. Him and his wife, they decided to move to Carlsbad, California, and he had moved already a few times. So when he moved out to Carlsbad, he was basically like a brand new agent. He had no sphere. Working the floor in Carlsbad was not the same as Boston. Everything was spread out. He really didn't even work the floor. So what did he do? This was like 06, 07. He started writing a blog, and he started writing a blog specifically for people moving to Carlsbad, California. He became the de facto relocation dude for Southern California. And he did all of this based on his experience of moving 3-4 times in his life, and they did big moves and worked with relocation companies. So he moved from Boston to California, big move. He shared his experiences on moving, and he became a top blogger in the real estate industry, focusing on his previous life experience by his moving. And he became the relocation guy. and he was able to build up a good business. So his competitive advantage was he knew what it was like to move, to go through the moves. He could relate to the people. He was able to help them with their issues, with their situation, and be more than just a realtor, but he could also help them buy their new home. And that's how he was able to build up his business. I interviewed Lane Horning recently, and Lane came out of high tech. He worked a lot with websites and working in a technical capacity. He worked in a company in California where they did a lot of internet-based marketing. So when he came out to Colorado to start his own practice, what did he do? This was in the early 2000s. He took his technical expertise. He teamed up with another agent who was a software developer. They built their own website. Based on his knowledge, based on his previous work experience, he developed his competitive advantage by creating this website. And I know this website really well, and it was a very powerful website for generating leads. So that's what Lane was able to do. He built the website, he built a big team, and now he's built a big company based on that success. How about the interview with Mandy Dowell? Go back and listen to that. The Down Under Realtor, right? Mandy is from Australia, and she's from Australia, and she had fashion design experience. She studied fashion in school. She loved all of that design and all that kind of aspect. And when she became a realtor, she apprenticed for I think 1 year, maybe 2 years as an assistant. She went out on her own. Now, Mandy is a hustle agent too, and she works really hard, but she added the staging component to her business based on her design experience. And she offers, and listen to the interview, what she does. She offers an additional free service to her sellers where she will stage their properties. And when you stage properties, this works for a slow market to help get the property sold, and also in a hot market to help the seller get more money because the property is staged really nicely. Adi Saeed. Adi, I think he is one of the few agents I see who he comprises all four models. He's a hustle agent. He's a sphere agent, working a sphere. He is a internet agent, and he's a farming agent. He took you listen to the interview, he took a couple months just to get his whole business put together. He developed his plan. He developed a system. He focused on a specific geography, the area close to where he lived, and he really developed this whole program of how he was going to market himself, how he was going to work as a real estate agent. So his competitive advantage is he was able to put together a system and a plan, and he even said in the interview, I wanted to be a big agent. I wanted to have a big business. I remember him saying that, and that was so important to him. He took the time and effort to build his business, to build his model, and that was his competitive advantage, that he was able to kind of build it in his mind, and then he was able to apply it through the internet marketing that he did, through the farming that he did, working his sphere, and being a hard worker. The last agent, and I just interviewed Catherine Ambrose recently, and I love talking to Catherine because she's got an amazing amount of energy and she always gets me pumped up. But Catherine is your classic hustle agent, working her sphere. When she started, she was willing to make the calls, to go out and knock on the doors. She had no fear. She had no call reluctance. She went out there and she did it. She worked hard. She had a good attitude. That was her competitive advantage. She was willing to do whatever it took to be successful. She was willing to do the sales activities, the marketing activities that frankly a lot of us as real estate agents are not willing to do. I did a lot of cold calling back in my days when I was a young sales guy, but I'm just not into that now. So Catherine is doing the sales activities that people like me are unwilling to do. And that is how she set herself apart. And she works her sphere, she does the internet, she does farming, but she represents that classic hustle agent who's out there working hard and doing whatever it takes. Go back, re-listen to these podcasts, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, what is your competitive advantage? This is the question I want you to think about. A lot of us have competitive advantages that we're not even aware of. You need to identify what is your unique strength. Leverage your past life experience. A lot of us that come to real estate, this is our second, this is our third, this is our fourth career. Rarely do you see people go into real estate where this is their first career. So leverage your past life experience. Leverage your past work experience. What did you do? I came out of high tech, right? Joan Caton Cromwell, she was selling the hospitals. She leveraged that. Mandy Dowell did a lot of fashion design and design work. She leveraged that. What can you leverage in your past work experience? Identify what are your strengths and what do you enjoy doing? Try to identify that. Do like a self-assessment. And once you're able to do that, you can find your marketing groove. You can set yourself apart. There is no silver bullet in real estate, but I think this might be the closest that we can find is how we can set our unique strengths, our unique history, our unique individuality, who we are. Some real estate agents, they're bilingual. They speak Spanish, they speak Russian, they speak Korean, they speak Japanese, they speak German, whatever it is. And I know a lot of these real estate agents, they promote that. They're bilingual, that they can speak different languages. A lot of realtors in the Indian community speak Hindi, and they market to other people like at the Indian grocery stores. Now I'm going to dig into this more in my next video in terms of how can we identify what is your competitive advantage, because the sooner you're able to identify that, the sooner you're able to tap into this, the sooner you're able to market yourself this way, this is going to help you be a top producer. This is going to help you build a long-term business. And this is a lot of fun because you're going to be working with people who want to work with you based on your expertise, based on your competitive advantage. Okay, well, thanks a lot for being here on this video today. Give me some feedback. Drop me an email. Let me know what you think. And if I can be of any help, let me know. My motivation is for all of you who are watching and listening, I want you to succeed. I want you to do well. And I know you can. And I want to be there to help you. Okay, thanks a lot. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.